Not every game project is going to succeed. In fact, part of being a developer is knowing when to walk away. In tonight's Creator Classroom, we go over when it is best to cut your losses. Get ready, because class is in session. Hello everyone, I'm Teal.
And I'm Teal.
And we're with Studio Blue.
Thank you for joining us for our Creator Classroom. Tonight's topic is cutting your losses, knowing when to walk away.
Hello BG, hello Reverie, and yes, the Kenny Rogers song.
Don't ask me to sing because apparently I sing off key.
Hello RPG Emma, hello Bubba Hotep. Arriving as always.
Ooh, I love Bubba Hotep's entrance.
Hello Cloud. So just so everyone knows, after this stream, we're going to take another break. Then we're going to start up a talk stream, a chat stream, until it's midnight our time. And then we'll play the reveal video that starts off the game jam.
So that's our little agenda for this evening.
Yes. So why are we doing this one? Well, there are times that you just need to walk away from a project or a team or whatever. You know, a lot of people feel that incorrectly you have to always be loyal and stay doing what you're doing and
just stick with it because of reasons. And no, you don't.
You don't. And Cloud, don't worry, Dunscap. Everyone has to learn. So we enjoyed playing your game. No worries. SB's here, so you know it's all going to go downhill.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Screw you guys. Screw you guys, I'm going home. And then walks right off the roof. Yes.
Yep, right off the roof.
Hello, Rilo.
Yes,
welcome.
It's the sunk cost fallacy. Absolutely, yes. Rilo.
Throwing good money after bad. So shall we jump in?
Let's just jump right in.
All right.
The purpose of tonight's presentation is to showcase scenarios in which the best course of action may be to walk away from someone or something in relation to game development.
We're going to go through some scenarios. We're going to have some discussions because this is indeed
a discussion-centered creator classroom.
So that means that at any point, if you want to throw out your own experiences, if you disagree with the point or you feel that a point needs to be discussed more, please feel free. There are no wrong ideas.
No, they're not. And still, if you man the chat, I will give the presentation.
Shall be.
Okay.
All right. I also want to make one more announcement. Today, we have officially sent.
You need to walk away from a circular room.
Wait.
You'd just end up closer to the wall than away from it.
Oh, SB, you are so right.
Thank you for the cheer. Thank you so much for the bids. I do want to make a quick announcement. Today, earlier today, Teal and I actually sent off a finalized version of the Final Fantasy VII Remake review to our editor.
Yeah.
So it's now in the editor's hands.
Yes.
Which means it will go up sometime
soon,
but it's in the editor's hands. We're G to G, so
that's our progress there.
Yes.
Do we have any more announcements?
No. Okay, the usual. If you're watching this live on Twitch, please follow and consider subscribing. If you're watching this on VOD on YouTube, hit that like button or ring the notification bell after you click subscribe. Of course, hey, we do this all the time. Give us the love, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and leave a comment.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so next slide, please.
Yeah. Take a break from Reverie says take a break from my current project and do something else first, so I'm looking forward to this. Awesome. Yeah, I want to break after finishing my demo. Great. Sounds like they really have a lot in stake for what you're about to say. So
yeah, I think so. So this is perfect timing on this workshop.
Awesome. Let's go ahead and do this then.
Okay.
So where do we start?
In the following scenarios, we look at when to walk away from your game engine.
Yes.
Scenario 1. The engine no longer serves your game idea. For example, you are using a 2D engine like Game Maker Studio for a horror game, but the 2D atmosphere isn't telling your story. Scenario 2. You can no longer implement your desired game features within the engine. Like if you are creating a top-down adventure game in RPG Maker, but start to run into issues with hit detection.
Right. Cloud is saying, yeah, my sequel is going to be long and chaptered, so chapterized. So yeah, this is a good time to take a break, especially after finishing a smaller project.
Yeah.
And BG then says, BYT, my tutorial actually has a note to decide if this engine is right for you. So there you go.
Yep, there you
go. The first one was directed at you. No, Bubba Hotep, it's not. But if you're starting to feel that itch that what you're doing needs to be done in 3D, then follow your heart on that.
Please follow your heart.
Yeah. Don't try to force your game into the engine.
Yeah. Scenario number 3. You have to change your game to match your engine. For example, you are creating an RPG in Pixel Game Maker and are finding it unable to handle your turn-based logic.
Exactly. BG says, I got game ideas I know RPG Maker are not going to work well with. Yes.
Yeah.
Any engine has limitations and doesn't do things better than others. So you should always pick your engine based on your project, not try to force your project to match your engine.
Yeah, always.
Always, always, and more always.
Okay, scenario 4. When the technology used in your current engine advances so significantly that your engine is considered obsolete. The version of your engine may no longer be supported by its developer, or the developer does not provide backwards compatibility, so you are forced into an upgrade which may break your game. Another situation to consider...
Let me go ahead and hit up what chat says.
Oh, go for it, yeah.
Because Cloud is saying, I might be bad or amateur, but my passion is on every game. Well, you're not bad. Cloud, a bad developer is a developer that refuses to learn from what they've done.
Right.
If you are the kind of person to do the same thing over and over again, rebuff criticism, and not learn from your mistakes, then Teal and I would call you a bad developer. You are not that. Amateur means that you're still learning and you haven't done anything on a professional level and made money off of it. You are not a bad developer.
No, you're not.
Don't worry. And your passion shows in what you do, so keep doing that. SB says, what happens when the engine I'm using gets derailed and proceeds to crash into a pineapple under the sea? Well, then it's the SpongeBob SquarePants engine, and if it uses the Patrick plugin as opposed to the Squidward plugin, I would support it. BG says, like if I want to do a racing game, RPG Maker may not be the best. Yes, you want to use the engine that matches the game.
Yes, you do.
Absolutely. So yeah, continue, Teal, please.
Okay. Continuing with scenario 4 on technology. Another situation to consider in the technology scenario is the engine cannot run on today's hardware.
Right.
When Microsoft or Apple releases a new OS, not all software can run on it, especially if the software was developed 2 or more generations ago. As in the previous situation, you may have to walk away if you cannot upgrade without breaking your game.
Right, because as we have learned, not just in the RPG Maker community, but in all forever, any engine, when you upgrade major versions, there are chances that your project is going to break.
Yeah, there is.
There's a reason why we waited until Unreal Engine 4.2.5 to start real serious development on the Rosenhearts.
Yeah.
Because we wanted the stuff that 4.2.5 had. 4.25, good God. We didn't want to, we wanted those things. The ability to kind of do the in-engine animation edits, the new particle system.
Right.
There were things we wanted with that version, so we waited because going from 4.24 to 4.25 could potentially break the game.
Right.
Oh, ha 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 about my IQ. You're so cute, SB. Ace thankfully still works fine in Windows upscales. Yes, fortunately. But
fortunately,
it's not going to last.
But yeah, at some point, it's not going to work.
Right. Because creators of operating systems, whether it be on your phone or on your PC, they do not care about the engines.
No, they don't.
Oh, SB's hilarious. SB's great.
Okay, let's move to scenario 5 on engine.
Oh, yeah.
Engine security Engine security exploits cannot be fixed without breaking a lot of your game's features. A great example of this is Fallout 76, built on the Creation engine. Bethesda released a whole bunch of patches to address security issues, and the game broke. If your engine cannot handle major security patches, You need to rethink your engine.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So SB's basically going to insult my IQ and insult your spell checking.
Okay.
That's what's going to happen tonight.
All right.
Yeah.
You're going for the low-hanging fruit, right?
Yes. He's going to dangle it and smack it around like, be like Rocky at the punching bag. Yeah, BG, I figured Shipwreck might be your last Ace game. That's fine. Yeah, go to MZ. Just go to the newest engine.
Yeah.
Go to the newest engine. Yeah, anyway, let's move. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, it just doesn't work.
All right, shall we move on?
Let's move on to the next case.
We got some new slimes, by the way. If you notice, we had Keanu slime, and now we got the Big Boss slime.
Big Boss.
That's right.
When to walk away from your development contractor.
Probably, SB, probably. Okay.
Development contractors can be artists, mappers, coders, musicians, asset creators, etc.
Yep.
You need to walk away from the contractor when they do any of the following.
Oh, yeah.
Scenario 1. They stop communicating with you for great lengths of time for no reason. For example, 3 months have gone by and you haven't heard a word from them, either by email, text, or phone call, despite repeated attempts on your part to get in touch with them.
Yeah, how many times, raise your hand in class if that's happened to you. If you've hired someone to do some artwork or whatever, coding, a plugin, etc., and they just stop responding. That's the most frustrating thing in the world.
Yes, it is. I mean, it's unprofessional. Ghosting is just unprofessional, but you don't have time to play with a ghost.
No, I do not like when people ghost me. In fact, if a person ghosts me, that is a surefire way to be removed from my life.
Yep.
Whether it's professional life or personal life. Working as intended, Blizzard. Yeah, it's a feature. Hey, Wrath, welcome to the stream. And BG says, yeah, especially if they already have your money.
Yeah.
Very, very true. And that's like legitimately, you will lose my friendship if you ghost me. If you have a problem, say, look, you pissed me off. I'm not going to talk to you for a couple of months. Or if you're a professional and we have a professional relationship, you can say, hey, I don't think I can do this. Yeah. Let's talk about a refund or some other compensation. Any of that is better than ghosting.
Okay. Scenario 2. If they deliver shoddy, unprofessional work, then you need to cut them loose. You have deadlines to meet and don't have time to teach somebody their job.
It's so much more expensive to try to fix a mistake or fix a bad job than it is to, cut them loose and start over.
Yeah,
don't throw the good money after the bad, right, Teal?
Well, right. Yeah, you don't want to keep on somebody who doesn't know what the heck they're doing.
Yeah.
Or doesn't care.
Right. BG says, we have to deal with those on the forums all the time.
Yeah.
I think he's talking about ghosting, but yes, in general, different forums, whether it be the RPG Maker forums, Unreal forums, I've seen those on that, the Unity forums, the subreddits. People will say, hey, let's talk about a thing, I'll help you out or whatever, and then you never hear from them. And Reverie, I'm sorry to hear you had clients like that. So,
oh, that's awful.
Yeah, that's a shitty thing. That is a very shitty thing. Booba Hotep, no, that's not the same. So Booba Hotep Teal is saying, sorry for not being really active on Discord. That's totally different. That's
a different case entirely. That's not what we're talking about.
No, we're talking about if there's a professional relationship and there's no communication for long periods of time. It would be like if we had Patreons and did not, for like weeks or months, do anything and then not even communicate. That's what we're talking about. No, you're fine, Booba Hotep. SB says that in a nutshell. BJ says that's a reason I hire people on a trial basis for one item.
Yes.
If it works out, then that is a very good methodology.
That's
BJ.
A good method to combat this.
Yes, that's what Teal and I will do that. If Studio Blue hires you, you get one thing. And if you do that one thing well, we give you a little more, and then we just bring you in for the rest.
Right.
Yep. And Wrath says he works alone to avoid BS.
Well, that's true.
There's pluses to being a solo developer. All right.
Okay. Scenario 3.
See.
This next scenario is really a judgment call. If the contractor does not understand what you want, despite your repeated attempts to communicate it, you may want to go with someone else. With deadlines and other people possibly waiting on work from this one contractor, you may run out of time to sort all this out. It's perfectly okay to walk away from someone who just doesn't get it.
Well, Rilo brings up a really good question.
Okay.
Does the contractor really not understand, or are they milking you for work and dragging out the contract longer than necessary?
Yeah.
That's actually going to move. That's actually going to mix into a later point, but to gently touch upon it now, Rilo, there are people who are like that.
Yeah,
and we have seen that. We saw it firsthand at the last thing we did, the last day gig the gig we had for our company. It's shitty when someone does that, and you cut those people as fast as you can.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, you want to walk away from that.
BG says, teaching works that way too. My online teaching job, you are hired for one class first term. If that goes well, you might get two in the future terms. Yeah, if I was to if I was to get that adjunct professor position, it would be starting out for one term, one semester, and if I did well, then it would be hired on for more. I even worked at fast food places where you're hired on trial for the first week or two.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are hired on probation, BG, for that very reason.
Yes.
To see if it works. Could I get fries with that? This is a library. That's cute. I like that, SB. Go ahead, honey.
Yeah. Okay. Scenario 4. If the contractor's style does not match your vision, you need to find someone else that does. You should not make someone change their style to conform to what you want. That's not fair to them or to your team who are waiting on deliverables from this person. Both you and the contractor are wasting time better spent on more productive activities.
It really is. If I hired someone to do concept art for Rose and Hearts and they were giving me something like, I don't know, Rick and Morty, or South Park, which both is a fine art style. But who's the guy who does the Final Fantasy art? That person. And I was looking for like My Hero Academia level anime. Why would I force them? Why would I continually push them to try to change their style? That's not fair to them.
No, it's
Plus,
not.
I'm wasting time, their time, and I'm wasting money.
And you're wasting money.
So yeah, there's times when the visions don't match and you just move on. And it's at that point, it's considered a no fault.
Yeah.
It's not their fault. It's not your fault. It's just not a good match.
Right.
And they want killer rabbits and SB's SBing right now.
Okay.
Yeah. Thankfully, with art, you can usually tell by samples. 100%.
Yes, you can. Yes.
And we've had that happen. We've had people come to us and say, hey, can we do art for you? And we've looked at their sample art, or we've had them try out one or two things and we went, hey, look, here's the money for what you did, but we're not going to go any further. So yeah, on the flip side, I've heard about companies hiring on probation, but pretty much abuse them. Reverie, this is beyond the scope of this, but there are companies that will hire a person on contract indefinitely.
Yeah.
And that's shit.
It is. That's just a crappy business practice.
We've talked about that in our mini rants against the AAA industry. Okay.
Any other questions on those scenarios?
Just BG saying this is my life.
Okay.
Amano, yes. So,
yes, Yoshitaka Amano.
Thank you, Wrath. Yeah, if someone did Amano's art, which is beautiful, but I wanted an anime style, it's not going to work.
No, it won't work.
Yeah.
Scenario 5. When a contractor repeatedly misses deadlines, that is a red flag that your game is a low priority for them.
Yep.
Or they are so disorganized that they can't stay on top of their commitments, which calls into question the quality of their deliverables. For the sake of your game project, your budget, and your sanity, cut them loose.
Yes. You know, one or two missed deadlines are fine. People having real life happen, especially if it's a remote job and they're balancing multiple gigs.
But we're talking about repeatedly missing.
Yeah.
Just over and over again.
Yeah, we're talking Duke Nukem Forever shit. We're talking like where they're just constantly missing it. BG says, oddly enough, I don't usually set deadlines with those I've worked with. Usually just ask them how long they want, as long as I know. Yeah, that's fine too. Setting an expectation at the start of a project is super important.
Yeah.
Whenever we get to that, we have a very long creator classroom about project management. When we get to that one day, it actually mentions setting expectations. So yes, we wish to have been canned. Oh God, just move on because I'm going to go on a rant about Duke Nukem Forever. Let's
okay. Go. Scenario 6. Lastly, if you find evidence of a contractor's dishonesty, don't just walk away, run.
Yes.
You absolutely do not want to deal with a dishonest contractor.
In any way.
Whether it is asset stealing, time theft, lying about reasons for delays or missed deadlines, or subcontracting out the work without your knowledge.
Yep.
Their BS ultimately reflects on you and what kind of shop you run.
Yeah, the buck stops with the person in charge. So if you're the lead developer for a project and you have someone who's either dishonest or is screwing around, asset stealing, the whole nine.
Yeah, all of it. Yeah.
It looks bad on you. You can only say, I didn't know so much before. Well...
Yeah, well, you kind of sort of did.
Yeah, so you really need... Yeah, in all cases, dishonesty is the best policy for you. It's so true. In all cases, if someone's being dishonest and you have evidence of their dishonesty, get rid of them.
Yeah.
Now, Teal and I have always believed that you actually have to have evidence, but if you have a high suspicion and you feel it's in your best interest, you have the right to sever a contract. You got to do what's best for your company, for your project, for your vision, and for your integrity.
Yeah.
We would just say if it's evidence of dishonesty, but that's a personal feeling.
Right.
Rilo says, when hiring for a job, pick 2 out of 3. Good, fast, and cheap. Good and fast is not cheap. Good and cheap is not fast. Fast and cheap is not good. That's true. You can't have all 3.
You cannot have all 3.
And I have worked for companies, mostly IT related, where they've been like, well, yes, you have to have all 3. And I've been like, it's not going to work.
Nope, not going to work.
Mm-hmm. Shall we move on?
Let's move on to testing contractors.
Oh, that poor slime is all confused.
Testing contractors, while similar to development ones, are a bit different in that when they fall short, your product can look unpolished and amateurish.
Yep.
Here are some scenarios in which that can occur. Scenario 1. Similar to development contractors, they stop communicating with you for great lengths of time for no reason.
At all.
For example, you haven't had a report or heard from a bug tester for 2 months, despite repeated texts, emails, and phone calls on your part. Again, that's the ghosting.
Yes. Number 1 way to piss me off.
Scenario 2. Discovering that they are playing the game for fun instead of actually testing it.
And we have had testers do that, by the way.
Beta testing is hard and tedious work, and when a contractor just plays the game, they aren't doing you or the finished product any services.
We actually were developing something years ago, and the person who was testing it kept messaging me about how they kicked this boss's ass and did this and did that, and I'm like, aren't you supposed to be bug testing?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, the game is great, and I just beat the shit out of them. I was like, I don't think you're doing your job.
No, they weren't.
Interestingly enough, BG says, interestingly enough, most of my testers were free volunteers. I was like, well, test as far as you can, since they were doing it for free. Well, there's always a difference between paid and not paid, and contractor denotes payment.
Yeah, we're talking about people that you're paying in order to do this.
So, BG, if you're in your situation, you're talking about volunteers, a little different bar at that point.
Yeah.
But if you're paying someone, they need to be doing the job, and Wrath is 100% right. Beta testing is bug testing.
Yeah, it is.
And SB says, let's see how this goes. Playing the game for fun may also mean they also need to make sure that the mechanics aren't going to wreck you. Well, that's not the case, SB. Because when you're bug testing for balancing, you're still doing more than just playing it as a player. So, I mean, even though they made a joke about me getting wrecked earlier, that's actually not accurate. If you're playing the game for fun, even if it's a challenge issue, a balancing issue, you're not finding that bug. You know, you're not looking for it. BG says, now I did have to pay 1 tester. We had rules. There you go.
Yes.
That's good. Hey, Human Yang, people get paid for that? People get paid to play games. Being a beta tester sucks.
Yeah.
Being QA is horrible. I would never, ever wish that on anybody.
It's a rough job.
It is, it's a great way to get into the industry, though. If you really want to get into the AAA industry, if you're really wanting to get into a AAA studio for the gaming industry, QA is 100% the way to start.
Yeah.
It will let you in on next to nothing, and you're going to get paid.
Next to nothing.
Wrath of Wood. I'd be good at testing. I break games on the first screen all the time. The BG says, yep, I actually pay my tester $20 per chapter. There you go. That's amazing. As a kid, I thought play testing was a dream job. Yeah, and then you actually do it.
You actually do it, and you're like, whoa, this sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, SB, I don't think John's supposed to launch to the moon. That's a feature! Thank you. Rilo says, testers a shit job having to play the same level thousands of times, doing mundane crap like throwing yourself at a wall just to test collision. Rilo, it sounds like you've done this, and yes, it is shit. Wrath of Wood, sounds like we need to talk. All right.
Okay, scenario 3. Shoddy bug reports are the anathema of game developers. And if the beta testers aren't finding any bugs, filling out their bug reports incorrectly, or fail to fill them out at all, this can seriously hamper the release of a game.
Did you fill out your TPS reports?
Yeah.
I mean, but seriously though, bug reports are comprehensive for a reason.
We need the bug reports.
Yeah, because the developers, whether they be the level designers or whatnot, aren't going to see what the bug testers see. And yeah, nowadays there's things where there's also recording and screen shares, but for the most part, paper bug reports are emailed or electronic, actually. You know, your little electronic databases. Those bug reports are still kind of the main thing, you know, for change management, which is a totally different ball of earwax. So you have to be descriptive. You have to have a real good bug report system. And if you have a tester that's not doing it right, it can cause more problems.
Yes, it can.
Slow your ass down. Well, hey, if you guys all want to hook up and do the bug testing, that's fun. Have fun with that. We'll look you guys up when we're ready to get bug testers.
Absolutely.
All right.
Scenario 4. Bug testers must work with other testers, as well as the rest of the team.
Yep.
Whenever they operate within a bubble, they can find bugs that have already been fixed. Mistake a feature for a bug and waste everyone's time, or hyper-focus on a bug that can be easily fixed by the developers.
And this is outside the scope, but there's a thing, I mentioned change management.
Yeah.
There's a type of tracking databases called your change management databases. There's actually specifically for game development, bug report databases. These things have to be used, and the QA needs to have communication with the other development teams, whether it be the level designers, the texture artists, modelers, animators, it doesn't matter. When your testers either operate like Teal said in a bubble, or they don't communicate properly with each other, or even worse, with those other departments, it really bogs down. QA is the most connected department in a AAA studio.
Yes, it is.
As far as dev goes. I will argue a person otherwise on that. Because they have to have their hands in, they have to be all over the place. Otherwise, those bugs aren't going to get fixed, and you're going to have a hot mess.
Yes, you are.
Let's see, let me go over here. So Rilo says, would noticing potential plot holes count as bug testing? Yeah, it's higher level than your low-level QA, which is just bug testing. But noticing story-related issues is a form of QA.
Yeah.
But it's not what your base QA is going to do. Your base QA is just throwing themselves at walls, fighting the same enemy over and over again, playing the same level 100 times, 1,000 times.
Right.
Totally different. Which is more what we're talking about.
Right.
Wrath says you kind of need a tester that understands little coding mechanics. Yeah, QA needs to know a little bit of everything. Not a lot, just a little bit of everything. To know how it works.
Yes.
SB says, oh God, yes, 99 bugs and the code to debug. That's great. Thank you. Reverie says, and when you're done fixing the bugs, a logic error occurs. That's true. Because when one bug gets fixed, 3 more come up.
Yep.
That's how software development works, and that's why you have those change managements. And that's why you have your QA working with everyone else.
Right. See, it's all interconnected.
All is.
You need a bug tester needs to be filling out those bug reports so that you can add those reports to your change log.
Yep.
Get all those issues addressed, and then retest.
Yep. If
a bug tester is not communicating with others, then you've got a huge inefficiency in the pipeline.
Yes. I mean, and this is not just stuff we've researched. I mean, this is our own experiences working in the industry. Trust me, guys, it gets stupid real fast, especially when QA is not communicating. What is it? Hold on. BG says, I found some good plot holes. Yeah. So they're just talking about finding plot holes. So really, honestly, for you guys in chat who are having this kind of conversation amongst yourselves, if you're finding people who are good at one thing or another, that's good. If it's high-level stuff like plot holes, inconsistencies, which is basically editing, then that's a different skill set from bug testing. and you really don't want to have the same person doing the two.
No, you don't.
You want,
no.
like, Teal is my dev editor. When I write something, she dev edits it. I would not ask her to do grammar checking. I actually pay someone else to do that.
Okay, let's move on to our final scenario in this. You find evidence of dishonesty in their treatment of your IP. This can be fudging their bug reports to make it look like they are working more than they actually are, or sharing or leaking proprietary information about your game, technology, etc. to competitors, journalists, or the general public.
Thank you so much for the follow, Kevmeister. I'm sorry, we had the alerts off, so I didn't hear follow the yellow brick road. I just happened to look to the side and see Dorothy trancing along. Thank you so much for the follow, and welcome to the streams.
No matter the type of dishonesty, cut them loose immediately.
Yes.
You absolutely do not want that person on your team.
No, you don't. Interestingly enough, quality assurance has one of the most has the highest, not the highest level. Quality assurance has so much access about a game that's in development, it's crazy. And they're often the people who just have an NDA, and that's the only thing stopping them from spoiling The Last of Us Part 2. So honestly, if you see that the QAer is in the least bit dishonest, just get rid of them. Get rid of them. It's not worth it.
You don't need to hang on to that.
No, not at all. Not at all. Are we moving
on? Does chat have anything more to say about the bug testing dishonesty?
Let's see. So right now BG says, okay, it isn't too strange that I found people for each of it. That's awesome. Bubba Hotep's.
There we go.
There we go. Thank you for the follow, Rose Guardian. Awesome. So let's jump back on here. Bubba Hotep says, okay, I might have a bug hunter for my Game Jam game. I hope so. Bubba Hotep, that'd be awesome.
Yes, it would be.
And Rose says, hi, and I can't say how much I agree on this. Absolutely true.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're glad you understand this, because this is so important, and you have to have a strong team anyway. Oh, hey, Rose. Oh, it's Lauk. I can't pronounce it. How you pronounce that name right there? The one in red.
Lockrallian?
Lockrallian. I'll get your name right one day, man. Sorry about that. Hey, Lockrallian, welcome to the stream. Okay.
Well, let's move on to walking away from the client.
Ah, yes. Oh, he's having a nap.
Okay. Oh, yes, that's right.
He's having a little nap.
Little nap.
Yep, he's tired. It's been a long day. Lock's good. Okay, lock it is. All right.
The same logic when working with contractors on your project also applies to you as a contractor working with clients. There comes a point when the stress and anxiety isn't worth the money.
Okay, so before we move on any further, first off, that's his eyebrows, Espy. Second, a lot of people who are new to working as a contractor are under this weird, and it's understandable, misconception that you never walk away from a client. No, that's not the case.
You can.
You absolutely at a point have to walk away from a client if certain conditions are met, which Teal's going to go over. And it's not the kiss of death.
No.
People have this, again, it's this weird misconception, and I understand it, that I have to take everything that comes. And you don't. If the client is hurting you, like what Teal's about to go over, it's in your best interest to not stay. The fourth, I walked away from a teaching contract due to number 4. Oh, okay, cool. We'll get to that in a bit, BG. Go ahead, hon.
Okay, scenario 1. The client should always clearly communicate their expectations and their deadlines, and both should be realistic.
Yes.
If they refuse to acknowledge the issues with their expectations or deadlines and change them to be more reasonable, it is time to move on.
Yeah, you don't want to be stressing out constantly over whether or not you're doing what you want them to do, whether you're doing what they need you to do, and whether or not their deadline is something you can realistically meet without, well, let's see. Let's go down a quick list.
Okay.
Other potential contracts or obligations, familial, family, life obligations, food, sleep, health. If they're wanting you to sacrifice all of this to meet a deadline, why?
Yeah.
How much money is worth your health? You know, and that is actually, if I can go ahead and pull back the curtain for a second, that's the reason why I left one of the studios here in Houston, was because I was in school trying to get my second bachelor's, and they were working the shit out of me.
Yeah, they were.
And I mean, I would come home and I'd go right into class. I'd study. And Teal one day came to me and said, "Hun, you have bags under your eyes. You were getting sick. You were tired all the time." So I left. It was a good position, but I left because it was killing me.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, scenario 2. Once those expectations and deadlines are mutually agreed upon, they should only be moved when absolutely necessary. Changing those parameters, aka moving the goalpost, only serves to create a sense of mistrust and unwarranted stress. If the goalpost has to be moved, such as when a stakeholder demands something by a certain date, then it is the client's job to account for that change, not yours.
Right.
Even if the solution is to offer you considerably more money to go faster.
Right.
If you are constantly being thrown under the bus, time to sever the contract with that client and move on.
Absolutely. So if you are in a position where they want you to go faster, or they want you to do more, and you signed up to do X amount under Y time, and they want you to do X plus 1, under Y plus 3, just things like that. It's not good. And unless they're offering you a ton of money that you are willing to accept for the extra stress, you need to go.
Yeah, you do.
It's not healthy. And like Rilo said, you got to respect yourself before you can expect a client to respect you. That's everyone, Rilo.
Yeah, it is.
You have to respect yourself for others to respect you. But that's still no excuse for a person abusing you. And this is taught, if there's one thing that being business owners has taught Teal and I, there is no one in the world more abusive than the person who is signing your paycheck.
Yeah.
You need Z plus 1 extra coffee break. I'm down with that.
Yeah, we're down with that.
I'm down with that. Are we moving on?
We are moving on to the next scenario.
That's right. Our little sleepy slime.
Scenario 3.
Yep.
No one likes to work while having someone look over their shoulder, figuratively or literally. Your client shouldn't ever micromanage you because, 1, it shows they don't trust you to get the work done on time and up to spec, even though you were the expert they hired in the first place. And 2, you are an independent contractor, not an employee.
That is huge.
As long as you deliver the work according to the contract, they have no say in how you work.
So this is a huge issue, and I'm going to touch upon it, but not go deep into it, because this is getting into actual labor laws. And this varies by country,
and state by state,
province by province. Exactly. When you are a contractor, you are supposed to accomplish a certain task or set of tasks. If they want you to continue to do more, or if it's indefinite, or if they're looking over your shoulder and telling you how to accomplish the job, what tools you need, etc., and they're basically treating you like an employee, then you need to negotiate a W-2 with tax, benefits, all that 9 yards, because they've crossed that line. And also, if you don't want to do that and you want to just be a contractor and they're micromanaging you, you need to go. You need to run away.
Yeah, a contract, the whole point is, here's a task, we want you to do it. We need it done by this and such time, and here's the money we're going to pay you.
Right.
Boom, that's it.
That's it.
They cannot tell you how to do it, what equipment to use, etc., etc.
Right. You just
deliver what they want you to deliver in the time frame they said so. Okay? Yeah. And other than that, you're an employee.
Right. The only time that, and this is not micromanaging, this goes back to the previous slides, the only time you want to tell them how you're going to go ahead and accomplish a task is if you're outsourcing a part of it to some other party.
Yep.
Because they need to know that. Unless the contract specifically gives you carte blanche, and in that case, it's on them. We got a couple of comments here.
Sure, let's look at the comments.
VG says, I think sadly too many try to do this. I think they're talking about moving the goalposts.
Yeah, they do.
Most I work with seem shocked when they ask for an extra week to work on something, and I'm just like, that's fine. Thanks for letting me know. There you go. You see, you are good because you're letting them tell you when they need something else. But they're communicating with you, which is important.
But they are communicating, which is important.
Yes. Rilo says, if you're going to just do nothing but micromanage, then just do the damn job yourself. It's true.
Thank you.
It's absolutely true. Let's see if SB has any. What's SB got to say? You need one of those devices that switches your Minecraft session to Microsoft Office. You're not wrong. Yeah, one of the parts of working for a game studio.
Yeah.
Is when it's all done, we all hook up and play Quake together on a Quake server. Oh, what are you working on here? Okay, that's cute. Okay, yeah, Berkeleos. Hey, welcome to the stream, Berkeleos. Put down the stapler or you'll be shocked. It's a streamline.
Yeah.
And then Hello Cloud. Again, I was going.
Okay. Scenario 4. Communication is key for a good contractor-client relationship. If your client isn't clearly communicating their vision, especially after repeated attempts on your part in trying to understand or clarify it, then you may want to walk away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Berkeleos just said anyone who has worked with clients knows that when the "that's cool but" begins, it's best to fire the client. Yeah, I actually was taught by someone I worked along with a long time ago, back when I was younger still.
Yeah.
You have to sometimes fire the client. And I was like, what the hell does that mean? And they explained exactly what you're talking about, Berkeleos, and what we're talking about. There's time to fire the client.
Yeah.
Yeah. My poor communication story. This is what BG's saying. I worked for a school for an 8-hour week, okay, try that again, BG. I worked for a school for an 8-week contract, and it was week 6 before I knew who to talk to and who was in charge of things. That's terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible. Yeah, I bet you didn't go back. Rose Guardian says, I got that a lot when I tried taking requests. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sour heat going in a tunnel. Yep. And Reverie says, had clients that end up adding more to the list because that's what I had at the last time. Never informed the extras. Yeah. When they start piling it on, it's time to go.
Yeah, they
or revise the contract.
Because let me tell you, if they start getting away with it, they're gonna keep on doing it.
They're gonna keep on doing it. Yeah.
And then your life is sucked away.
Yes.
All right. Scenario 5. Never work for free and never work for exposure.
Right.
And if a client repeatedly misses paying you for your work at the agreed upon time.
All right. Thanks for the follow. It's Agape Novels. Agape Novels joined our game jam a little while ago.
That's really cool.
Thank you so much for the follow.
Okay, let me start again with scenario 5.
Okay.
Never work for free and never work for exposure. And if a client repeatedly misses paying you for your work at the agreed upon time, then run as fast as you can.
Yeah.
Once or twice can be fine if and only if they clearly communicate what is happening and why, such as payments from stakeholders being late, etc. But a habit of late paying or non-payment is absolutely unacceptable.
Do not work for someone who does not pay you. It does not matter what.
Yeah.
We pay everyone, even if it's for a sample of their work that we end up not hiring them long-term with. You will get paid by Studio Blue. You guys do the same thing.
Yeah.
Do not work for someone who doesn't pay you, and do not pay your contractors.
Thank you.
Important tip, get everything in writing. Yes, Rilo.
Yes, everything in writing.
And hold the client accountable to the letter.
Yes.
Yep. More on what's happened with BG. That's shitty, BG. It really is. I'm working for free and exposure. Yeah, it's it's funny, SB, but seriously, don't do that.
Don't do that.
Also, when they're Berkeleo says also when they're asking for Michelangelo's David within the budget of Toys R Us Play-Doh sets, walk away. Walk away laughing and get the hell out of Dodge. Don't come back. Yeah.
Unrealistic expectations. Okay, scenario 6. Sometimes it just doesn't work out between you and your client. Personality conflicts are normal and aren't always the product of a bad work ethic or shady business practices. Right. If working for this client just doesn't feel right, find a way to exit your contract amicably.
Yep.
Unless they are being abusive or just not paying you, always try to leave on good terms.
Absolutely. You know, if things don't work out, there's nothing wrong with shaking hands and walking away. People have this, again, it's a misconception.
Yes, it is.
That you have to always leave on bad terms.
Right.
That's not the case. In fact, what you want to try to do as a professional is always leave on good terms. neutral at the worst.
Right.
You only leave on bad terms when it's outright abuse or outright harm or obvious that they don't care about you at all,
Right.
and want to hurt you. Then you leave on bad terms. You're like, screw you, see, they need to get out of there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, try to leave on good to neutral terms, because you never know. You never know when you're going to meet up with them again. You never know when you're going to try to work for another company that they've had exposure to. People talk. And if you're the kind of person who gets the reputation for leaving in a huff with an FU, that's going to get around, and that can hurt your career.
Yeah.
Absolutely. BG, same here. Teal and I, we've left most of our jobs and gigs on good terms.
Yes, we have.
Yeah. So, Merlin has something. And welcome to the stream, by the way, Merlin.
That was Merlin.
Merlin says, this isn't about game devs, but I had a group of D&D players I was running for, and the magic feel out of it. So we decided to just bury that game and move on rather than trying to force the game to continue.
That's the same thing. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It just doesn't feel right. It's not working for you guys.
Right.
So just shake hands and walk away.
Right. It's better.
Mm-hmm.
People are going to feel negative when something that they've invested in falls apart, whether it be a D&D game, a video game project. It doesn't matter. However, you gotta, at a certain point, you gotta go, okay, what's best overall? The constant pain and heartache this gig is causing me, or my sanity.
Yeah.
And if you can say to the other person, hey, this isn't working out, and they go, you're right, it's not, and you can shake hands and walk away amicably, in the end, you are going to feel so much better.
Yes.
Than if one of you acted negatively leaving out.
Sure.
And as Merlin said, still in touch, and that's absolutely the truth.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Give proper notice when working in telemarketing, right? Yeah, same here. Not telemarketing, but I've jobs that most people would run away from. I at least give a notice. Don't burn your bridges before you cross them. That's true, Raph.
That's very, very
and
true.
And don't pull up your bridges with dynamite.
Yeah.
It's cute. It's cute. Reverie says, also don't work for commission. The only time you want to accept this is if you don't expect to get paid much at all. This even holds with the, well, yeah, if you're going to get paid commission, have a base salary. Working pure commission, no.
No, don't ever do that.
No. Like you see these jobs, it's like you can make $6,000 a month. And oh yeah, it says 25%, 35% commission, and then after 3 weeks it's 50% commission. No. Do not.
Yeah.
You work a job, you get paid to do a job. Commissions are bonuses.
Yeah.
Pretty poor translation from one part to the other. Understood.
You have a story, Teal.
I do.
Yes, about the client expectations.
Yeah.
The airplane scenario.
God. All right. So, back in the day, I worked for a project. I worked as a project manager for a business owner who did not know how to communicate at all. He was I don't know how the hell his business made any money, because he was a great salesman and a shitty communicator and a crappy boss. But he was trying to explain the sales funnel to me. And all he had to do was just say the word sales funnel, and I would have Googled it. But instead, he goes off on this long freaking diatribe about guy flying an airplane, and how when you fly an airplane, you have a very specific skill set, and that skill set is just flying. And I don't even know what the hell he was talking about. But I mean, he went on this, and it was a good 30 minutes of my time. And I didn't learn anything. I learned that apparently people fly airplanes, and they're good at flying airplanes.
Yeah, I actually read that
email.
That email, and I was confused as to what he was trying to get at, and I'm in business, so yes. He was a poor communicator.
Very poor.
And we didn't stay with that one too long.
Nope. A very specific skill set. Are we going to go full taken with it?
Thank you. Yeah.
I will find you, and I will hire you. All right. Thank you, Berkeleos.
All right. Let's move on to the next scenario. Okay. Walking away from the team.
That's right, good sir.
Conflicts and walking away can go beyond just individuals. As these scenarios will show, this can sometimes extend to entire teams.
Okay, so Agape says, I heard that TV and movie industry, they use creative accounting to get out of paying the royalties. So any royalties you get probably should be based on sales and not profit. Yeah, you always want to get paid on net. Gross, not net.
Yeah, gross.
You always get paid on gross, not net. And it's not just that industry, or that industry is the worst. The game industry, other industries will do it as well. Basically, if you're going to get paid on a profit share, then you want to get paid on the gross and not the profit. If it's a profit sharing, like legitimately profit sharing, then you want to make sure that your contract specifies exactly where that margin is in which you get what percentage of bonus. So, you know,
because I've seen I work with accounting sheets, and you can get pretty far down there past all the expenses before you can call it net profit.
Yeah,
I wouldn't do that. I would negotiate gross,
please,
or at least before COGS.
Yes.
Anyway,
Reverie says, "LOL, I have a friend who spends hours talking about something could be said in 3 sentences." One of my role players once did that.
Oh, lordy.
His character would say something and it would be about 6 paragraphs, and I'd be like, you could have said that in like a sentence, like legitimately.
Yeah, right. Wonderful communication. All right, let's move on to teams.
Moving on to
this
teams,
is exciting.
Yes.
Okay, so scenario 1. When there is no clear vision on the game, the project goals, or the work processes, the entire team can get thrown into disarray. This shaky foundation can totally derail a game's development, and teams like that rarely survive.
Yeah. Oh, Berkeley says, gross not net. Also, the contract that the writer of the Witcher series of the book signed with CD Projekt Red comes to mind.
Yeah.
He only wanted a lump sum out of lack of faith the games would be good, and then he came back and sued to get more. Ended up being a consultant for future Witcher games with an amicable environment. Yes, he was actually kind of a bit of a prick about the whole thing, but he made a bad business choice.
Yeah, he did.
A very brilliant series, and a guy who's a great catch on not what to do. And that's another thing too. Also, this is building off what Berkelios just said. If you have any work that's being translated into anything else by another company, negotiate royalties right away. In fact, don't negotiate yourself. Get a media attorney and have them do it for you.
Yeah.
Because they understand the law and that's their job. You do not want to get screwed. So let's just say that Bubba Hotep has Sayaka turned into Sayaka the anime series. Bubba Hotep, get yourself a lawyer and have that lawyer negotiate your contract.
Yeah. Because
you're going to get screwed.
Yep, because they have lawyers.
Yeah, they do.
Will have lawyers. Okay, so teams. All right. We just went over scenario 1.
Yeah.
No clear vision on project goals or work processes. Right. Do we have any comments on that?
No, just people in general just chatting. SB making great puns. Okay,
scenario 2. Personality conflicts between team members can be devastating to the harmony and trust of a team. And the formation of exclusive subgroups, i.e. cliques, is a death knell. It is never a good idea to be a part of a team that has these issues.
So you notice we put personality conflicts, but this one's in a negative light, while the one with you and the client is different. With the client-contractor one-on-one relationship, a personality conflict could simply be just two people not working together. Something that it's very simple and it can never be fixed. It's irreconcilable, but it's not destructive. What Teal is talking about is people within a team fighting, arguing, backbiting each other, sabotaging each other, cliques. We actually saw this happen. We're not going to name the team, but we do know the team and we do know the game, and they tore themselves apart.
They did.
It was utter destruction, and it was a shame because they put out amazing products. But this happens, and it's horrible to watch when it does. Berkeley says, when you're a solo dev and you're the dev and you hate the project lead, artists and musician and code, any ideas how to walk away? Valium.
Yeah.
If you're the solo dev and you and the project lead aren't getting along, and you and the artist and musician aren't getting along, I would say about 20 cc's of Trazodone. Just knock yourself out for about a week. Maybe everything will come back to normal afterwards. The joke is he's the solo dev, so he's all those things together.
Oh, I didn't get the joke.
Teal didn't get the joke.
I don't get the joke. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Basically, Berkelios, if you're having a problem with yourself, go take a break.
Oh, okay.
All right, go ahead.
All right. Scenario 3. You don't want to be the only person on the team who pulls their own weight.
Ugh.
And shoddy work ethic amongst other team members is a huge red flag.
Mm-hmm.
If you find yourself doing the bulk of the work, then it's time to take action.
Yep.
Depending on the size of the studio or how you feel about the project, you can walk away right then, or you can contact the person in charge of your team to help resolve the issue.
Right.
Walk away if nothing substantial is done to resolve the issue.
And of course, as we mentioned earlier with what BG was saying, if you're going to walk away, please try to walk away on good terms, and please try to hand in a notice.
Yeah.
You know, just saying I quit is a last resort because it's going to have negative impacts. Legitimately doesn't matter.
Right.
Yeah, Booba Hotep. Yeah, Cloud, you and Darren have a good work ethic together. So
yeah,
it was good. All right. Are we moving on?
Yeah, we're moving on.
Next scene.
Okay, scenario 4. Those with authority must set the best possible example, be it through motivational or participatory leadership. If the person in charge of the project, or those closest to them who have leadership power, are dishonest, unethical, or lazy, then the team itself, as well as the project, is toxic and doomed to failure.
Yep. Again, not going to mention because we try not to talk negative about people, but there was a team that we were not involved with, but was around in the community for a while. And they had a very highly toxic member, like super toxic. And this was close to the lead developer, the person in charge. And it was very destructive. I don't know if the project is going on anymore. Don't care. But the reality is that this one person who was very close to the person with full authority was basically a POS.
Yeah.
Yeah, nepotism, the A-isms, exactly. Sorry for cracking that. I had to open up my Coke. Berkelio says, another point for team walkaway. If you work for Epic Games and they say that overtime is not mandatory, but it is just some extra pressure around. Yeah, actually, anytime you work for a place that says mandatory, nothing is mandatory, but then you feel like you have to do it, it's basically like, well, you know, I'm not saying you have to work overtime, but Jim over there, you know, he works, 7 hours a day, 7 extra hours a day, and, he's going to make team lead tomorrow. Stuff like that. That is bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if they tell you you don't have to do a thing, but all the pressure says you have to do a thing, that's BS.
Then basically you have to do a thing. So yeah.
Bye.
Anything else on that?
No, we're pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, scenario 5. Delays and missed deadlines will happen, as is the nature of project management. However, if deadlines are constantly missed, bottlenecks are frequent occurrences, your work is negatively affected, and no one is held accountable for these, it's just business as usual, then it's time to walk away. It's highly unlikely that these things will change without divine intervention.
Yes, and the divine does not intervene much.
No.
SB actually brought up a good point.
What's that?
It's reverse psychology. I'm going to assume you meant 101 and not 1010.
Yeah.
It's reverse psychology 101. They try to derail your thought pattern into thinking it's one thing, but it's entirely something else.
Yes.
And a lot of businesses do that.
Of course.
And all I can say, Boba Hotep, when you said that is, well, I'm going to need you to come in this weekend because, yeah, that would be great. Lumberg.
Yeah.
Anthem, Duke Nukem Forever. A lot of games that came out had that problem.
Yeah.
Berkelio says project management classes slapping salespeople. God damn, Berkelio.
Not wrong.
You are a man after my own heart. That's amazing. We're probably brothers from another mother. Go ahead.
So yeah, accountability is huge. If there's no accountability, walk away.
No, just get out of there.
Okay, the final scenario in this one.
The final scenario.
The most important thing about working on a game is enjoying it.
Mm-hmm.
If you are no longer having fun working with this team, then your own work quality will suffer. If that happens, it's better to cut your losses and leave on good terms.
Seriously, there comes a point. Okay, so why do people get into game development?
Yeah.
Because they like making games. It's the same reason they get into the film industry.
Yeah.
The film industry is insanely stressful, but people get into it because they want to be a part of that magic. So if you're in an industry like that, TV, movies, video game, and music, you know, putting together concerts, right? All that stuff. If it stops being fun, you should stop doing it.
Yeah.
You know, and people who work outside of the creative industry go, well, you know, you just put your nose to the grindstone, you just do this, you just do this.
It's not the same thing.
I'm not going to preach to a person and say that, you know, invalidation, but what Teal said is 100% accurate, because the creative industry requires you to have a always on 100%, and you are only as good as the last thing the studio has produced.
Yeah.
So you could have worked for the studio that made Dragon Age Inquisition. Then you make Anthem and you suck ass.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's shit. But that's how it works.
So yeah, when you're in a creative industry, you have to put your passion and drive, put your all into it.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how you get good product.
Yeah.
It's not the same thing as clocking in day out and day out in and day out in the accounting department, and you're just running reports.
Absolutely zero disrespect to people in any other industry, because there's nothing wrong with that. But what Teal just said is true. So I'm not even supposed to be here today. Thank you, Wrath.
Please note that the scenario of your other commitments getting in the way of your obligation to the team is a work-life balance issue and is beyond the scope of this workshop, even though it is indeed a valid reason for walking away.
Yeah, we could have a creator classroom on work-life balance, although honestly, it's better just to take a seminar on it.
Right.
We're not really the best people for teaching work-life balance. We're really not. However, that is beyond the scope. So if you're having a work-life balance issue as opposed to all this other stuff, go take a seminar on it, read a book, watch classes, and then see if it's something you can and cannot resolve.
Yeah.
Let's see. Boba Hotep says, I should be painting my army for the 40K tournament in 2 weeks, but this stream is very informative. Sorry we're keeping you from your stuff.
We're so sorry we're keeping you from your 40K.
And Berkeley says, good point to know if it's getting grueling to work if you start sneaking in some Irish into your morning coffee.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
This is Teal all the way. Okay, shall we move on?
Okay.
BG should be sleeping.
Sometimes, even if the contractors and team are good, and the engine is strong and up to date, the project itself can go bad.
Yep.
The following scenarios show when it's time to walk away from a game project.
Mm-hmm.
Scenario 1. You or the lead designer have added in too many features that are well beyond the scope of the original game idea, or have added in features just because they seem cool. This is called feature creeping and is never good. A project that has succumbed to feature creep should probably be abandoned. Yeah.
So BG like feature creep. Yes, feature creep. Yes. We know many games in the RPG Maker and non-RPG community, just games in general, like SB said, Fable, cough, cough, who feature creep, and it's never good.
No, it's not.
Teal and I have always said, if it doesn't somehow move your narrative or enhance your gameplay experience out of necessity, if it's essential, basically, remove it.
Yeah, just remove it.
If you don't need it, remove it. And for God's sakes, and this is to every last one of you out there, especially you all who just got the shiny new MZ engine, start making your game and pull the plugins to make your game. Later on in the project workflow, if a shiny plugin comes out that you like watching the Yanfly or Mog Hunter video on YouTube and you go, ooh, that's pretty, resist the urge to put it in your project just because you like what it looked like.
Yeah. Please.
Only put it in if it enhances or moves the game forward in an essential way.
Thank you.
Please don't feature creep, guys. Hold on, we have a couple of comments here. Wouldn't it be cool if we added extra stuff because it's cool?
Yeah.
That's exactly it, Wrath. That's it right there.
That's that thinking.
We were saying this on the forums. A Titanic list of features is a great way for your game to end up like the Titanic. That is so damn true.
You're right.
Berkelios reminds, yes, Duke Nukem Forever is a huge feature creep example. A plugin, what's a plugin? And out. BG says romance system, stuff like that. Berkelios says it's better to just think of what kind of story I want to tell, what mechanics need for that story, and then check plugins. Otherwise, you're just adding too many wrenches. Exactly.
Yeah, you are.
When we created, let me talk about our project. When we created Rosenhearts for MV, we had a very finite list of what we could and could not do in the engine, and we got the plugins for it. when we started creating Rose and Hearts in the Unreal Engine, we were able to write down exactly what we wanted for the battle system, which is called the Fate system, and the progression system, which is called the Bloom system. Those two things are necessary.
Yeah.
We didn't start adding in all this other shit just because it would be cool. We decided what we wanted to, the game we wanted to make, the story we wanted to tell, and the mechanics that would allow that story to be told, and we stopped there.
Right.
We do make a joke out of one of the systems, though. That'll be for a conversation later.
Okay, scenario 2.
Hold on.
What?
Merlin says, hey, I found this really neat slime sprite. I want to put it in the game. NPC recruits. Yeah, enter me. You fool! And then BG says, well, I didn't put a default spot for feature if it was made once I decided to put it in. Yeah, basically, we can move on, but no feature creeping.
Okay. Scenario 2. There will always be delays in updating your game, as well as notifying the public on those updates. If great lengths of time, months or even years have passed, the project may need to be shelved or abandoned.
Yep. That is the reason why when we moved Rose and Hearts to the Unreal Engine, we went dark and we're not talking about it other than, yeah, we're working on it. Because if we start releasing updates and then stop, Rose and Hearts becomes vaporware.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a reason why we're not showing and talking. Because we're not ready to show and talk. So, yeah. All right. That's it. No, just comments about stuff.
Okay. Scenario 3. Game development is stressful, but it can also be fun. If the stress outweighs the enjoyment, though, you may want to rethink why you are doing this project. If you find no meaningful reason to keep it going, walk away.
Yes, please. Nothing should cause you more stress than enjoyment.
Yeah.
And if you're getting zero fulfillment out of something, if you're just feeling sick to your stomach every time you open up your copy of RPG Maker or Unreal or whatever,
yeah,
then it might be time to shelve it. And please understand you can come back, but if it's time to walk away,
then please walk.
Please walk away.
Yeah.
BG says, I usually make a project page once I have something to show. Yes, that's what you do.
Once you have something to show.
And then Berkelio says, oh, so it's good not to show. My only commitment to my friends someday is show them a full combat demo in Unreal. Good to know. Yeah, you don't have to show anything, Berkelios. If people don't want to believe that you're working on something because you don't have something to show, that's up to them. But you know what you're talking about, so we know you're doing something.
Yeah.
But you don't have to show a product until you feel that, one, you have something to show, and two, you can commit to updating it till either it's done or you say, I'm shelving it.
Right.
But what you don't want to do is succumb to vaporware, where you start making something, you show a great page with a whole lot of stuff, and then nothing happens for days, weeks, months, years. Stay away from that.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're talking months and years here.
Right. Weeks aren't really a problem.
No, that's not a problem, but months and years, that's a problem.
Yes. BG says, I've got like 2 or 3 projects, not even out of proof of concept. If I show them when I get... Thank you, BG, you're doing it right.
Yeah.
SB says, I've had this situation happen many times. It's better to put your work on the back burner for a while to unwind. You do not want to end up doing... Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. I want to talk real quickly about my manuscripts. I will write a manuscript. Teal and I will go over it, or I'll put it through my my peer reviewers, my other writer friends, and I may shelve it for about a year or 2. Let it percolate, and then go back to that manuscript and rewrite it. Because sometimes if you overexpose yourself to a creative anything, you're gonna lose taste in it, you're gonna hate it, or even worse, you're gonna saturate yourself in it so much that any changes you make are actually going to be for the worse and not the better.
Yes, there's a danger in that.
100% what you just said, SB. Rose says, my only problem is I release my stuff too soon. That is a problem.
That is a problem.
And Rose, you want to address that. You want to not release your stuff too soon. You want to get to that point where someone can download something and see how it works. That's when you want to start releasing, even just screenshots. I've lost 4 computer cases in the... Wow. Merlin says, I procrastinate by working on another game, and then when I get bored, I jump back over the first game. Well, again, Merlin, we're talking about if you're doing this as a job. I don't know if you're a hobbyist. If you're a hobbyist, you do you, son. Just seriously, do whatever you want. But if you're doing it as a professional, you want to follow these.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're having fun with this one game project and you jump over here for a while and then you jump back to that one, yeah, you're a hobbyist. So have fun with it.
Sure, have fun with it.
That's the most important thing. All this other junk we're talking about takes a backseat to, are you, Merlin, having fun? If you're having fun, you do you, sir. Let me get to it. BG says, for the Book of Shadows, the main demo came out in March of 2015. Now, because of dead time, a long lag between that and final release, but it did post updates monthly. Perfect. Wrath of Wit says, put that project in the oven for a while. Yep.
No, that's true.
Okay, we're going to move on. I'll catch you in a minute, Booba.
Okay. Scenario 4. Going over budget is also extremely common in the industry, and most AAA game studios account for over budget on their titles. However, this can go too far, especially in the indie game scene.
Mm-hmm.
When a game project goes way over budget without any end in sight, it may be time to walk away.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a lot to say here that Teal didn't already say, but if your game budget is, we'll just say $100,000, and you're approaching $250, $500,000.
Yeah.
There's such a saying as throwing good money after bad.
Yeah. And just don't do it.
Don't do it. Rose asked a question.
Okay.
Actually, Booba Hotep's talking about the underground. Well, we got you, Booba. Don't worry. Okay. So Rose says, what if you're changing your mind on the story too much? Forgot to ask. That is a different issue. If you're changing your mind on the story too much, that means that the story that you want to tell isn't coming out, and that's a brainstorming organization issue.
Right.
You need to organize your thoughts to get out the story you really want to tell, and that's actually outside the scope of this classroom, but we have classrooms on brainstorming and techniques you can go. But the overview of that is, if you're constantly changing the story you want to tell, then you don't actually have the story you want to tell in your mind yet. You need to refine it until you get it to this is what I want to do.
Right. Because honestly, you haven't settled on your one story yet, so there's nothing to develop.
Right. So, it sounds like, and this is, I don't know all the full details, Rose, but it sounds like you have an idea, but not a story. And there's two different things.
Yeah.
What's a budget?
Yeah, seriously, what's a budget?
Yeah, BG says, we've heard about people going 10,000 on art with no end in sight. Yeah.
Yep.
Seen it. That may be world building creep, and that's, yes. Okay, thank you, Berkeleos, also for pointing that out. World building creep, story creep,
yes,
character creep. There's many ways that it can go, and yeah, all of that's dangerous because that can kill a project.
Yes, it can.
So what I would recommend, Rose, is kind of get an idea where that problem is, and then people like us, Berkeleos, someone who actually has experience in this, Jeff, Will Black, we all can kind of help guide you into what you can do to fix that.
Yeah.
And then and as BG said, don't be afraid to nuke it if needed. Absolutely. Okay.
Scenario 5. Also on the topic of money, if there are so many problems with the game that fixing them will cost more money than the game ever stands to make, it may be time to cut your losses.
It may be.
Yeah.
May be. And the only thing I have to add to that is Murda. Murda's here.
Murda, awesome.
Merlin says, yeah, I have a small game and a couple of assets and I wouldn't mind picking up. But as a small demo proof of concept, I'm just limiting myself to $50. There you go. And
there's a budget. You've got a budget, and you're going to stick to your budget.
Yeah, and that's another creator classroom for another day, is budgeting. Yeah. That's fun. It will cost more than the problem to recruit from the project. Windows in a nutshell. SP. It's true.
Yeah.
All right. Ooh, hold on.
What's that?
Berkeley says, feel like we should have another channel dedicated to GDC videos that could be seen additional assignments. Berkeley, that's a very good idea.
That's a good idea.
Because GDC's been putting out amazing stuff.
Yeah.
Their official, I'm subscribed to their official channel. You are too. We are.
Yeah, we are. Mm-hmm.
And yeah, their stuff is amazing. Berkeley's, if you could DM me that, I think I'll do that. That's a very good idea.
Okay, scenario 6. Games are organic during development, even if the vision is held by one person alone.
Mm-hmm.
However, if the game's scope goes far beyond the original vision, that the capability of you and your team can no longer fulfill it, it's probably time to call it quits.
Yep.
Yeah.
When you can no longer discern what it is you're trying to do, that project's dead.
Yeah.
Seriously dead. Yeah, as BG said, this. It's true though. I mean,
yeah.
you know, show of hands on stream. How many of you guys have actually worked for a project? And after a while, what the hell am I actually working on?
Yeah.
What are we doing? What are we trying
doing?
to tell? It's happened. I've seen it happen. Sean Murray in the initial No Man's Sky. Yeah. Star Citizen, I think, is going through the same issue. Or it did go through the same issue.
It did, yeah.
Yeah, canceled a project as open world RPG and RPG Maker. It was beyond the scope of what we could do as a noob. Exactly. A human says that's every college group assignment. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to need 16 times the detail. Oh, Lord. Skyrim syndrome, when you just suddenly look up and play and go, wait, what am I doing? Yeah. Yeah. And again, you know, not to detract too much because we want to get through this, but the reality of it is if you lose sight of the original goal to the point where you don't even know what you're making anymore, it's time to walk away.
It's time to walk away.
Shelve the project.
Now, please note that any game project that has been shelved can always be returned to at a later date. There is nothing saying that shelved projects are gone forever.
And that's the thing that a lot of people, for some reason, again, it's that misconception.
Yeah.
Just because you walk away from something does not mean you can't come back to it. You know, think, oh, once it's gone, it's gone. No, not at all. It just...
Sometimes you need just time and distance to get some clarity. Yeah. And then you come back to it and you're like, oh, and you just start taking an axe to it, trimming the fat. Yeah. And then, wow, you got this lean, nice little project again that you can pick up and start working on.
I bought a copy of Evernote, and I highly recommend you all should buy a copy. I subscribe to Evernote, and you should all do the same thing. Because on Evernote, I have a number of notes, hundreds of story ideas for books.
Yep.
Dozens for video games. Some of them may never see the light of day, but nothing is discarded. I may or may not write that book one day. I may or may not make that game one day. But the truth of the matter is once I have an idea that I feel is worthwhile, it goes in here.
Yeah.
And I keep it, because you never know. Human says, a few members on our server are making a very small collab game. I actually think it's a great project, and I'm impressed by their ability to keep the scope small. That's fantastic. If you're talking about your beta test server, Human, that is amazing. And I'd love to see what that collab looks like when it's done.
Yeah.
SB says, wouldn't cutting the project down like that make you a hack murderer? Ha, 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 ha. Berkeleos, or sometimes you want to deal with a project like you would deal with an ex that has keyed your console. Don't have a car. Scorched earth and police getting involved. There'd be a bit of fire. That's highly specific, Berkeleos. That's like a little too detailed. Should I be worried? They say, or Human says, it's in the beta test server. Okay, right. Yeah. Game that's called Silent Kill, or basically many hilarious murder action sequence. That's hilarious. That's awesome, Human. I can't wait to see how that goes. Okay.
Okay. Let's move on to the next scene. Yes.
Yeah, this one. Yeah.
Okay.
Game idea.
Even game ideas are not immune to being abandoned. As these examples will show, there are specific times when it's better to not make the game.
Yep.
Scenario 1. Some visions cannot be easily explained, let alone executed into a playable game. If you and/or your team cannot, after repeated attempts, accurately showcase the game's vision into a playable state, it's best to just shelve the whole thing.
Yeah, there are some stories that do not translate over into visual mediums very well.
Yeah.
And that's the reason. Like, let's talk about Alan Moore's Watchmen. It took a very, very long time for the Watchmen movie to come out because it is exceedingly difficult to turn. And they didn't succeed. They mostly succeeded.
Mostly.
You know, it's hard. So there may be an idea that you have or something that you've done in another medium, and you may not be able to make a game out of it.
Right.
And there has to be a part where you go, you know what, this isn't going to work. I just need to walk away from it.
Yeah.
Raph says, I shelved a Unity game that seemed too complex for a first game. I started working on a more simple platformer. Yes, always start with the simple stuff. Make simple games, simple games, simple games. then after you've done enough of them that you've learned how to do it and you know how you can go about doing it, then start making your bigger games. And BG said yes to what we're just talking about.
Yeah.
This is why I dropped my IGMC project in 2014, 10 days, and changed it to a new one. The vision was a flop as a game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank God they never made cats into a game. You know,
Ooh,
you make that joke, SB, and yet... Berkeley says, maybe a reason why Superman is hard to adapt. It's not easy to make a video game where you're supposed to be invincible except for a small green glowing rock. Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Very good idea. That's a very good, yes. Superman 64 was a terrible game to begin with, but there's never been a good Superman game.
No, there has not.
Because how do you make a game where literally the only thing can kill you is a rock? Or Doomsday? A
very hard to find rock.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, simple games, game jam, cats is a game. Okay, we can move on.
Okay, scenario 2.
Yeah.
Some game ideas are just overtly offensive for the sake of shock instead of adding value to the story.
Yep.
This can be the entire game concept, such as the game Rape Day that was removed from Steam, or it can just be a part of the game. If you or the lead developer refuses to change such a part, then the game itself should be walked away from.
So now, what we're not talking about is censorship. Teal and I are anti-censorship. However, there's a difference between a message and overt. We're doing this just to be shocking.
And edgy.
And the game that we're talking about that was basically pulled from Steam was literally a sexual assault simulator. There's no other way to describe it. I don't like to use the R word, but that's what it was, and it had to go.
Yeah,
it had to go. That's something you kind of want to walk away. Well, that's the thing. Hold on, hatred. He attempted to defend it with a social statement. I don't agree with hatred, and I don't think Teal does either.
No, I don't,
because it's basically a murder simulator. But he attempted to defend it. The guy who made Rip Day did not. It was literally, this is what it is.
Right.
However, I'm not defending hatred. I don't like the game. Let me go. Superman game, you play the villain instead. Hey, that'd be a great game playing Lex Luthor.
That'd be a good one. Lex Luthor.
Yep. Rilo says, very hard to find a rock. That villain. Okay, they're just talking about Superman.
Okay, Superman.
But yeah, so Berkeleyos, we're on the same page there.
You're right. Scenario 3. Get versed in your countries, states, or provinces and local laws. If your game's concept breaks those laws, such as outright gambling outside of a casino, then you shouldn't make your game.
Yeah. There are laws of certain things that are completely illegal here in the US. Don't make a game that breaks those laws.
Right.
Pardon me. And there's things here in Texas that are illegal as opposed to other states. Learn your laws. Learn your country's laws. Learn your state's laws. Learn your province's laws. If what you're attempting to make breaks the law, don't.
Please don't make it.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
Agape says, but superpowers are they're talking about. They are going off on a Superman superpower tangent.
Because it's Superman is awesome.
Yes, he is. He's my favorite DC superhero other than Batman. Breaking the law. Thank you, Wrath. But yes, so both of those, they were uncomfortable to talk about, but we had to. Because we want to warn you guys, don't do this. That can get you either in trouble,
yes,
or is gonna basically cut down on your integrity.
And you're basically hacking into your reputation.
Yeah.
Do you really want to do that?
And we're talking about both point 2 and point 3.
Yeah.
If you do any one of those, you could ruin your reputation as a developer. How many companies will learn from that example, right?
Well, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, scenario 4. You may just have moved on to other things. That's okay too. There's no harm in shelving a project for another. Please note that with like projects, you can always return to a game idea later on.
Yeah, there's nothing stopping you. I mean, literally, unless it violates 2 or 3.
Right.
You know, if it violates 2 or 3, just do yourself a favor. Just go. Let it go. It's not worth it.
It's not worth it. No.
No. Okay, I think we're moving on.
I think so.
Okay.
We're at the end.
All right, end of the presentation. So we can chat for a few minutes if people have questions, things they want to talk about, clarifications.
Because we're all about clarification here.
Right. What is going to end up happening is once this one is over with, we're going to take a little break and we're going to open up a mini AMA where we're just going to chat a bit about the game jam. And then at midnight our time, which is almost an hour from now, we're going to run the video, which will teach the elements necessary for the game jam. And we're also going to make it go live on YouTube. So the game jam will officially open in about an hour and some change.
All those MV project shells.
Yeah, right. But yeah, does anyone have any questions, any thoughts, any concerns? Do you disagree with anything that we said? Do you agree with what we said? Do you think that we missed something?
Yeah, let us know.
We are not infallible. Slime is, though, because he makes the perfect cup of tea.
Oh, that's the perfect cup of tea. Very tasty.
It's Yorkshire tea.
With milk.
With milk. I put cream in mine, but
that's
I'm weird.
That's because you're strange.
I am strange. I straight up do. I put half and half in my Yorkshire tea, and I don't care. Do you think RPG Maker devs in general are too married to the engine? Ooh, that's a hard question. Every time I see someone with actual talent, I wonder, okay, so I'll give my answer and then you can give yours.
Okay, yeah, give your
But
answer.
I want to preface my answer. I have respect for the RPG Maker engine because it is deceptively powerful. However, I have gone on record many times saying it's only good for certain things and it's not good for others. And I am saying that, of course, as a person who is working with Dagica wholeheartedly with their Monday night streams. So, having made sure you understand those caveats, I do believe there are people in the RPG Maker community who would benefit from moving, not abandoning the RPG Maker engine, but expanding to other engines. I really do. I think there's a lot of people out there who need to explore Game Maker Studio 2. I think there are a lot of people who need to explore Unity or Unreal or even Godot. I think there's a lot out there. And I think that when you limit yourself to one engine, regardless of what that engine is, you are limiting your creativity. It's the same thing that I would tell a person who wants to write. If all you want to do is write short stories in the urban fantasy romance genre, you're limiting your creativity. Why not do a short story or a novella that's a mystery or a sci-fi story? Why not try making a fantasy novel, high fantasy? The thing is this, whenever you limit yourself to a tool, the only one who gets hurt is you as a creative. That's my thoughts.
Okay. Well, I do agree with you for the most part, Steele, on that. But I'm going to look at the question and frame it in a different way.
Okay.
Are RPG Maker devs too focused on the engine rather than their games?
Okay.
And I'm going to say yes, they are.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of love for that engine. I think that engine is great. I love working in it. I love doing stuff with it.
Right.
But I think and what I've seen is a lot of devs make games for the engine, playing around with the engine, instead of coming up with game ideas and then deciding which engine to use to put that idea in action.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I see going on in the community. Not every dev does that, but I've seen a lot of them do that.
And I think also, and we addressed this in an AMA 2 weeks ago, as well as in the why we left doing RPG Maker LPs and came back. And, I don't have a problem saying this. So to kind of build off of that human, there's also a feeling of if it's not RPG Maker, it's not worth the community's time.
And that's not true.
That's not true.
No.
Yes, it is the RPG Maker community, but it's still a game dev community. And I would rather see the members of that community focus on expanding their knowledge base and nurturing with each other the engine that's, as Teal said, right for their game. Than this, I don't want to call it elitism because that's too negative, but this closed circuit of just RPG Maker.
Yeah, just I suppose, what I was saying.
Right, what Teal said.
Yeah. I really can't add anything on to that. You pretty much said it succinctly.
Yeah.
We got a lot of comments here. Let's see.
Well, Berkeley said, I'm pretty much agreeing on your points for shelving projects, as long as it was a learning experience for maybe designing mechanics or actual applications. Yeah, absolutely. If you learned something from what you did, even if what you did gets shelved and never completed, it's still a win for you.
Yeah.
SB says,
going down to Agape novels.
okay.
I like RPG Maker because it's easier to make games without needing to know code. Absolutely. That RPG Maker was my first game engine. I absolutely love it. I had so much fun playing around with the scripting and dialogues and sprite movement. I had a very good time with it.
Right. I'm going to go ahead and address Wrath of Wood, Merlin, and Agape in one statement.
Okay.
If the only thing that's keeping you an RPG Maker is how easy it is to use, then you don't know how easy other engines are. All
true.
engines are easy to use once you learn them. You had to learn how to use RPG Maker. You had to learn how events work. You had to learn how parallel process versus auto run work. You had to learn all that. You either had to watch one of Drifty's videos or watch one of Echo's old videos or noodle around with it until you broke it. All engines are exactly the same. Having said that, if you're afraid of having to write code, not only do most engines now allow you to bypass that, like blueprints for Unreal, but you're also cheating yourself because code is not hard. Code's easy. It's the syntax that gets you.
Yeah, that's true.
Like literally, the easiest thing in the world is learning how to code. The hardest thing is the syntax and when to use the right syntax.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
But having said all of that, don't be afraid of learning another engine because you had to learn RPG Maker. So anyway, it's a lightning perspective, Teal. Yes, Teal's amazing.
Yeah.
When Teal comes up with a perspective, it is very much illuminating. Came up with the idea of how about I can work in an engine. How about I come up with an idea and think about how I can work it with the engine. Okay, so what Reverie does is Reverie comes up with an idea and tries to push it into, I'm assuming, the RPG Maker engine.
Right.
And we preach, don't do that. We preach, come up with an idea and then find the engine that makes it work.
Because at the end of the day, your typical player wants to play your game idea.
Right.
And not necessarily the engine.
Right.
The engine is just the vehicle to convey your game's idea, your story.
Right. And it is true that kids can make games in RPG Maker. So it is true. One of the selling points of RPG Maker is it's easy enough for a kid to use. So Merlin's correct when he says RPG Maker was easier to learn. It is. However, if you can learn a RPG Maker, you can learn another engine because it's still the same thing. And if Unity messes with your head, I don't know how your lessons worked in that. I don't know. So I can't make a comment on how good your Unity classes were. But I can say this. What makes RPG Maker easy? RPG Maker breaks things down into events, which are basically code that is prepackaged, and it puts it in plain English.
Yes.
So if that's your only problem, Merlin, human, anyone really, I'm not pointing out just the names in general on screen, then what you need to do is you need to work with an engine's framework that puts it in plain English.
Yes.
And that'll solve your problem. Try working in Smile.
Oh, Smile is good.
Go over to Smile.
The Smile engine is really fun to work in.
It is. Drosray, one of our people, he works in it. It's amazing. It's a great 3D engine for, and it's like RPG Maker, beginnerish.
Yes.
Try doing something else. You don't have to go from RPG Maker to DirectX programming. You don't.
No.
You can take steps. We made the leap to Unreal because I've worked in Unreal in the past.
Right.
So for me, it was revisiting what I already knew and learning how it works differently from 2.5 to 4. For Teal, it was more of a jump because she hadn't worked in Unreal before, but she had worked in other things like other 3D environments, like the Creation Engine Kit for Skyrim and Oblivion.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, the whole point of this, and I don't want to preach too much, is if you just want, if the only problem is the complexity of the engine, find the next step engine. So go from RPG Maker to Smile, then go from Smile to like Unity with a framework or Unreal with a framework, and just move. And eventually you'll be working in one where you have to code your own. Take baby steps.
Please take baby steps.
Please take baby steps.
Yeah.
RPG Emma says, when I used RPGM, it looked a bit hard. we have people who get onto the Studio Blue Discord server and want to know how to make a map because they have no idea.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that because we all start somewhere. So don't think that just because it was easy for you, it means it's easy. It just means you picked up on it real quickly. SB says the only reason that's holding me back from switching to another game making engine is that the majority of stuff, music, graphics, are locked in RPG Maker products only. That's something to consider.
Yes, it is.
However, there's a lot of free assets out there for every single engine. As a matter of fact, half the stuff in our Unreal library is free because Epic Games does Christmas.
They do.
The first Tuesday of, in fact, it's going to come out tomorrow. The first Tuesday of every month, Epic Games gives out free stuff. Free code, free models, free music, just free stuff.
So take a, if you're doing, you're interested in that, then you take a look at their free assets for sale. Just take a look at it. There's all kinds of stuff. It's really fun. It's like rooting through the bargain bin.
Really
you can come up with some really cool stuff.
Yeah. Anyway, free stuff for the win. Unity does it too.
Yeah.
We just happen to be a preference to Unreal, but Unity does the exact same thing.
Unity does the same thing.
While I am planning in time to reiterate all games and graphics, music would be rather. Well, and there's, again, SB, there's a lot of free out there.
Yes, there is.
Well, the problem is again, if you're stuck in one community, like for example, the RPG Maker community, you're only going to be familiar with RPG Maker assets, music, graphics, etc. Once you move out of that community and then move to another community, you'll start seeing the free stuff available for them. That's the thing. There's tons of free stuff out there.
Yeah, there is.
Wrath says, C# is fun. Trust me, once you get it figured out, it's not that different from RM. Thank you.
Yeah, that's true.
C#, C++, although I can understand why people prefer C#. And visual scripting, i.e. Unreal Blueprints. Yes, I mean, Teal learned Unreal Blueprints. Was there a learning curve?
Of course there is.
But once you got through that learning curve?
I'm doing just fine.
Yeah, she can make a treasure chest. Go click, open up. So, I mean, literally, you learn it. It's like everything. If you open up a blank engine and look at the blank project, of course you're going to panic. You have no idea what you're doing.
Yeah.
But you open it up, you look at tutorials, you take it one step at a time. First, let me learn how the menu works. Then we learn how the interface works. Then I learn how to navigate the interface. Whether it be clicking on a tile here to add a piece of grass, or clicking on that tile here to add a door, or moving around in this 3D space so I can add a texture to the floor so that I can add a castle turret. All of that's the same. There is no difference. It's just what you click and how you move your mouse. What key you press.
That's perfectly true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Free stuff from a dumpster. Merlin says, I will say there's a lot of good Unity free stuff you can find if you dig past the chafe. Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
Same. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, like I said, you just root around in the bargain bin and see what you come out with.
What was that wall of text, Booba Hotep? Hold on, let me read it. You play as member of the city guard. You have a wife and child, a small house to live in. Just another normal day. Or it would seem, a small hints here and there give you a sense of something big coming. Then the night you wake, a city in flames. Now you must get your family out of the sky. Choose between saving someone, just keeping your family safe. No, there's no saving. That sounds like an interesting story. I don't know what the... just slammed us with a story.
So where did that come from, Booba Hotep?
Yeah, where's it going? What's the result here, sir? Let's see. First part of that made me think of Papers, Please.
Papers, Please.
Merlin says, I found a very good mecha model that I wanted to make a game around, but my god, I couldn't figure out how to actually do that. Again, it's you just take it one step at a time. Yes, 3D has one thing that 2D does not.
Yeah.
Sans Dragon Bones, you have to rig your models for animation.
You do.
And that's its own thing.
Yeah.
However, if you buy a pre-rigged model or you get a skeleton that you can attach your model to, it gets a little easier. There's a lot of lessons out there. There's a lot of software out there. So again, it's just taking it one step at a time. So before we end this, and if anyone else has anything, Blender, thank you. Yeah, like Blender. Literally learn Blender. Like if you want to work in a 3D engine, learn Blender. Boom, you're done. It's a good work in progress, Booba Hotep. Yeah. So any other last minute questions? That's great. This kind of went in a really cool direction because
yes, it did.
Thank you, Human, for asking that question because, again, Teal and I, our first thing together was RPG Maker 2003. That was our first. That was technically the first thing Studio Blue ever did.
Yeah, it is.
Technically, you know, and we will always love the RPG Maker engine. However, we choose the engine for the game, not push the game to the engine.
Correct.
Yep. Unrigged slime people attack to the unrigged blobs. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we're gonna do, like I said, last chance to ask questions. I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna end it for the evening, and we'll be back at 11:30. It's about 15 minutes from now.
Yeah, about 15 minutes from now.
It'll be a brief little AMA. We'll just kind of chat with you guys, and then at midnight our time, we will pop on a commercial and officially start the game jam.
Yes.
So if you're gonna join the game jam, please be there. I made a little action RPG in Godot before learning RPG Maker. Godot. They're really very similar in concept. I must say, there's no satisfying press. Yes, it's exactly Locke. It's all good. It's all game design theory. Soaps for Sale says, "What do you think of eggs? I like them poached." Thank you for the class. Can we see those themes? Oh yeah. All right, human. Okay, everyone, ready to call it for the night, my love?
Yes, let's call this class for the night.
All right, so guys, this has been great. We cannot wait to see you guys in about 15 minutes when we get ready for the kickoff to the game jam.
This has been a very informative class.
Yes, it has been. You guys have been amazing as always. Remember, Wednesday is our Dragon Quest 11. And Thursday is Horizon Zero Dawn. And Friday is our AMA. And we're going to be starting our game jam in just 45 minutes. So if you like what you saw, leave a smack down the like button below, subscribe to our channel, consider supporting us on Patreon, connect with us over Facebook, Twitter, Discord, and we'll see you in the next video.
See you next time.
Oh, you make me wanna talk back to you. Say it like that. If I hate you, then find someone new.